Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back to the recap and breakdown. Today we're taking a look at this past weekend's UFC Fight Night, Carlos Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes, which just took place on Saturday, the 27th of September, 2025. We are going to be looking at the entire card, starting off with the early prelims and ending with the main event. It did take me a little bit of some time to kind of figure out what I was going to talk about for this card because I was a little bit upset. I didn't end up losing a $6,000 parlay, a 9-pick parlay, and we did lose with Jake Matthews on the main card. We will talk about that in a little bit, but we will start off with the early prelim opener, which was Alexia Thanera versus Luma Lukbunmi, and it was quite obvious Alexia Thanera was going to have a really, really easy time with this fight. Luma Lukbunmi is just a really basic Muay Thai fighter. She doesn't have a whole lot of mix-up capability, and when it comes down to the wrestling and the grappling and the clinching, she doesn't do all too well, realistically, because of her size. She's only 5'1". She is fighting girls who are actually really tanky. Luma Lukbunmi herself, her frame's very, very small. Alexia Thanera looks almost double her size. It's actually ridiculous. She's just got too much reach. She's got too much advantages over Luma, and Luma couldn't even win a round. It was pretty clear Alexia Thanera won all 3 rounds, in my opinion, 30-27. I did think she was going to end up getting a submission victory because of the fact that Luma Lukbunmi is so lackluster on the ground. It did not end up happening, but she did end up winning. I can't even talk right now. Getting a win on the decision scorecards via. I think it was 30-27. I don't remember. It was too long ago at this point, but I'm going to assume it was 30-27 unanimous. Luma Lukbunmi doesn't really look all to that. She doesn't look good. She has no finishing capabilities. She's choked out Elise Reed, and Elise Reed's the biggest bum in that division whatsoever. It's unfortunate that she lost, but this is one of those fighters that probably should get out of the UFC at this point. She's not going to get any better. She got brought into the UFC 4-1 because of the fact that she's, in a dead division. The female division at this point is kind of dying. Strawweight at this point is only being brought up by people like Alexia Thanera, who's getting brought in. I don't even know how Alexia Thanera got brought in. It was Contender Series. I did watch her, I guess. Last year? Who'd she fight on that card? Oh, Vallejos against... Yeah, that was a bad fight. We had Daniel Frunza as well, who just knocked the shit out of Vadim Kutsiev. And Kutsiev is really good, too. Hasn't fought since that one, and I was a little bit surprised about that. Went on a 2-year layoff, and then I guess he's going to go on another 2-year layoff. Anyway, back to it. We're going to go next in the prelims. Brando Pericic versus Elijah Ellison. Ellison had a huge opening segment about how he came back from suicidal thoughts. This dude was super depressed. He said he's coming out here. He knows he's going to knock this dude out. And Brando Pericic said, I don't give a shit. I'm going to just show you what's up. And he looked really good. He looked very, very composed, had really good defense, and just waited for Elijah to come in, cracked him with some really good shots, ended up with some really, really bad ground and pound. Was asleep for a while. They did end up having to stretcher him off. They did have to give him oxygen in the octagon as well. He was out, I think, for 3 or 4 minutes. It was really bad. It was a crazy knockout. Really good win for Brando Pericic and for City Kickboxing. It was a really, really good win to start off for the Aussies, and it was a really crazy knockout. This is a guy to watch out for, too. He's got really, really good kickboxing. He's got really, really solid ground game as well. He isn't afraid to be on the floor, and he doesn't look like he has too bad of a gas tank. Granted, we only saw 2 minutes of him, but he did get a scramble quite well. Ended up with a takedown, ended up in top position, and just absolutely rolled over Elijah completely. It was a really good win, really solid for the Aussies. Now, next on the prelims, we had Michelle Montag versus Luana Carolina. And now that last fight was also 2 UFC debutants. We also have the UFC debut of Michelle Montag, I think it's Montag, whatever. And she looked really, really solid. She did look like she had a bit of a tough time with the submission game when it came down to Luana Carolina. And Carolina is not one of those high-level grapplers inside of the strawweight division. Or, sorry, the bantamweight division. I forgot she moved up from 125 to 135, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. From flyweight to bantamweight, which is just not needed at all. She should have stayed down there. She can't handle the strength of all these ladies at all. And Luana Carolina doesn't have super high level grappling, but she does have a crucifix position over Julia Stolyarenko, who's a really high level black belt. And Michelle Montag was able to get her in some really bad positions. Not I don't understand how, but she was not able to end up submitting her in that fight. I was a little bit surprised because of the fact that Luana Carolina had showed some, some faults with some adversity before. Ariana Lipski got her on a knee bar super quick. Didn't even look hard. It looked like Luana just didn't even know what to do and got sat into it. And Michelle Montag, high-level grappler, has majority of her wins. I believe only one. Yeah, that was her only submission or her only decision victory over her entire career so far. And she's fought 4 times in the PFL. A lot of amateur fights. Only, I think, 1 or 2 decisions there. And she still ended up with a decision here. It's okay. I don't think she's a really high-level prospect to be looking out for. I think if she does end up fighting someone with high-level takedown defense, she's going to get her ass whipped and she's going to get knocked out. Next on the prelims, Colby Thickness versus Josias Musasa. Now, this was 1-1 going to the 3rd round, led down to the fact that Colby Thickness was extremely exhausted and Josias Musasa was looking for the kill shot. He felt like he had Colby Thickness on the run and he was starting to put on some heavy pressure in that 3rd round. Colby ended up hitting him with a really bad nut shot that completely changed the course of the fight. He had Josias Musasa sit there for a long time, almost took the full 5 minutes. Looked like Cedricus Dumas where he couldn't really move for a little bit, ended up standing up, trying to walk it off. And it wasn't going too well until, around 4 minutes, 30 seconds in, he was like, okay, I'm good. They told him don't do it again. And Colby ended up with a takedown after Josias Musasa was throwing a little bit wild. They had a little bit too long of a break. The adrenaline dump for Josias Musasa was probably very real, and he did not end up getting the momentum back after getting it in the 2nd and 3rd, the start of the 3rd at least. And Colby Thickness ends up with his first UFC victory after losing to Alexandra Taporia in his UFC debut. It's not a super crazy win for Colby Thickness, but this will increase his ego. It will bring him up and make him feel better about the fact that he's in the UFC now with a win. Josias Musasa, I don't think he'll get kicked out of the UFC for this one. It's a tough loss. I think he'll come back stronger. I think he does have the really high-level knockout capability that they signed him for, especially at 135. This guy looks like an absolute fucking truck. Colby Thickness just had too good of grappling game to just utilize it against Josias and just end up putting him in some really bad positions, especially in round 1 where he, almost had a 10-8 in the first round. Ended up with a 10-9 in the 3rd round, wins 29-28 on the decision. Now, next in the prelims, a little bit of a red flag in this fight. Jamie Malarkey versus Rolando Bedoya. Now, Bedoya is not even known for his knockout capability, okay? Bedoya is known as a point fighter. He's got good mix-up capability, but he usually keeps it within the judges' scorecards. He doesn't have a whole lot of pressure. He has sort of this sit and wait style until you gas. Now, that doesn't really work in the UFC. Maybe it works somewhere else, but it doesn't work here, especially in 3-round fights. You kind of have to put it on the gas early enough so that they respect you, and you can start winning some points. Now, against Jamie Malarkey starts fast. He wants to win the first 2 rounds so that he can kind of fall apart in the 3rd because he doesn't have a whole lot of gas. This guy doesn't manage it well. He kind of goes off for 2 rounds and just tries to put it all on you, win the first 2, and just kind of coast himself to a decision victory in the 3rd. That happens a lot. Jamie Malarkey's a big finisher, had a lot of KOs in his career, but it's coming down to the point where he's not getting them anymore, and he's just having decisions after getting gassed out against these guys. Now, getting gassed out against Bedoya is fucking terrible. That's some of the worst shit I've ever seen, and I'm really worried for Jamie Malarkey in his career at this point because Rolando Bedoya was landing in the 3rd round. Jamie Malarkey did win the first 2 rounds. Really good grappling, really good mix-up. But Bedoya was landing in that 3rd round, and it was putting some fucking bad pressure on Jamie Malarkey, man. He was getting clipped pretty bad. He was bleeding pretty good, and Bedoya was moving forward, and he almost put him out. There was a couple times when he threw, and Jamie Malarkey just barely fucking ducked. There was actually one point where he actually stumbled, and Bedoya missed because of the stumble, and he wasn't at the proper spot that he was supposed to be. And I think Jamie would have got put down with that shot. Jamie needs to be a lot more careful, and you guys need to be a lot more careful if you guys putting money on him. I did bet him this weekend. I thought it was going to be super easy for for Jamie Malarkey. Just beat the shit out of Rolando Bedoya. It should have been a layup fight realistically, and Jamie looked like he had a tough time in the second half of that 2nd round. And then that 3rd round, he was gassed. Just look out for that. Jamie Malarkey still landed good shots, looked okay. Again, only lost to some really high hitters. Nazar Hakparas, Maurice Arufi, Naimov, Jalen Turner, Faraz Zaim. These are high level strikers with some dangerous power behind them. Does he have that against Fernando Bedoya? No. Did Bedoya still almost put him out? Yes. So that's a fucking problem. Watch out for Jamie Mullarkey coming up in his career. He's probably a little bit chinny. Next on the prelims, Cam Roston versus Andre Petroski. Now, the fact that Cam Roston rose to a plus 175 before this fight started is absolutely laughable and absolutely disrespectful. This is the same guy, Andre Petroski, who knocked himself out against Jacob Malkoun, against Jacob Malkoun's hip when he's going in for a takedown. There is something clearly wrong with this dude's head. There's something clearly wrong with his chin. Cam Roston took advantage of it. Absolutely beat the fuck out of Andre Petroski. Landed some really good knees. Landed some really good stuff in the clinch. Ended up in a top position and landed some devastating elbows and just put Andre Petroski out and forced the ref to step in and stop the fight. Now, you didn't see a whole lot of Cam's game, but you did see his power. You did see the kicks. You did see the fact that City Kickboxing is turning these guys into just fucking shadows of Israel Adesanya. They got really, really good fucking question mark kicks. They got really good body kicks, and they're starting to rip shit into people just to try and put them down. They don't care if they're ripping into your liver or to your arm. They're going to put something out. They're going to put it out quick. And Andre Petroski clearly had a problem in the first minute of that fight. He did not know what the fuck to do with that power. And the only guy who gets knocked out more than him is fucking Paul Craig at this point. This dude looks like shit. He got choked out by Brian Battle in the second round of The Ultimate Fighter. If you're getting choked out by Brian Battle and not knocked out, there's a problem. Something's wrong with Andre Petroski. I don't know what it is. I think Michel Pereira fucking just absolutely beat the shit out of that dude. Just put him into another realm. Something's definitely going on. If you're going to a split decision with Gerald Mearshart, I'm not very confident in you. I'm glad I picked Cam Roston, and I'm glad he knocked him out. It's a really good guy to add to the 185s. I think middleweight needs a little bit more blood, and that's some nice blood to add to it. Next on the prelims, we had the top and the highlighted prelim of the evening, Navajo Sterling versus Rodolfo Bellato. Now, Navajo Sterling looked okay against Bellato. He was landing some really good shots, but Bellato was nonstop moving forward. Navajo Sterling ended up getting gassed later in the fight. Bellato was landing some really good shots in the third round, realizing that he needed a finish. I think Navajo Sterling ended up winning 30-27. Excuse me for a second. But I don't know. I have a little bit of worry with Navajo Sterling. There's a lot to unpack about this guy. This guy goes from just knocking everyone out, having really good kickboxing, really impressive stuff. Knocked up Philip Latu, which he should have. Latu's shit. Knocked up Philip Latu, and goes into the UFC, has 3 decisions in a row against people that he should have knocked out all 3. And now we're not really sure what to do with Navajo Sterling. If he gets a high-level fight next, I don't know if this guy wins. I don't know if he has the adversity to push through. It looked like it was like 1-1 going to that third, maybe even, because Bellato was just putting pressure on him and clipping him with really good shots, getting big reactions. Navajo Sterling was kind of holding a little bit. And his coach is telling him, you got to put pressure on him. You got to go. You got to move. You got to go. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about Navajo Sterling. It's a good win. Bellato's a little bit shit, in my opinion. But, you know, he does survive at least. He does at least get guys in question. Maybe start doubting themselves. And it's pretty impressive. But good win for Navajo Sterling. Now we're going to move on to the main card of the evening. We had Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell. Now this fight bothered the fuck out of me. I bet Charlie Campbell, not on the $6,000 parlay one, but we bet Charlie Campbell against Tom Nolan. Charlie Campbell drops him in the first round. Okay. Nice. Now he's pissing blood from the nose. Clips him again with a big shot. Okay. Now Charlie Campbell is starting to move forward within like 2 minutes. He's moving forward. He feels good. He's a little bit shorter, but he's catching Tom. Tom's a big power striker. He's got okay grappling, but it's not something you really need to worry about. And Charlie's just moving forward. Moving forward. Bang, bang, bang. Throw against the cage. Cut him off. Cut him off. Get him into the corner. Bang, 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 bang. Like just trying to clip him and drop him. Oh, what happens? We get into a little scramble situation. Oh, Tom Nolan ends up with a takedown. Oh, Tom Nolan ends up getting the back. Oh, Tom Nolan puts Charlie Campbell into a fucking rear naked choke and chokes him out. Charlie Campbell, who just dropped Tom Nolan twice, had him hurt, had him backing up, gets overzealous and overconfident, and runs right into a takedown, immediately into a rear naked choke threat, and immediately gets submitted. Almost the exact fucking thing that happened against Chris Duncan, where this dude just gets super excited every time he gets someone fucking hurt, starts walking forward, and just something bad happens every single time. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what the fuck is seriously going on with this dude. I don't know if he needs to just calm the fuck down. The fact that you're able to go through Trevor Peek, but you can't go through Tom Nolan, and the fact that he had to grapple to get you out of there, I'm so confused. You have no idea. That was his first fucking rear naked choke in his entire career. He hasn't had a rear naked choke since his amateur career in 2018. That is fucking insane. Tom Nolan, impressive win. Bothered the fuck out of me. Continued the win streak for the Aussies. It was really, really good and a really solid fight, but it got disrupted by this next fight on the main card. Neil Magny versus Jake Matthews. Now, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I had Jake Matthews as a free pick. Like, just free. He was a minus 400 free. Now, Neil Magny, who's he lost to? Michael Chiesa, okay, grappler. Shavkat Rakhmonov, yeah, that's understandable. Gilbert Burns, okay. Ian Machado Gary, yeah. Michael Morales knockout, yeah. Carlos Prates knockout, yeah. Elizio Zaleski knockout. Beating Elizio Zaleski is big. That means you survive, right? That means you survive danger early. You survive a lot of danger, and you can pull it back, right? What did you do to Mike Malott? Same thing. Third round, knocked him out with 15 seconds to go. Mike Malott completely gassed out, burned it out, and got TKO'd in the end. Now, Jake Matthews. What happens to Jake Matthews? Usually, Jake doesn't stop. That's the thing. Usually, Jake just doesn't stop. Usually this kid goes forward and goes forward and goes forward, and he's had 3 wins in a row. He had a win by rear naked choke against Chitty. He usually just fucking runs it forward. Usually he doesn't stop. He has really good cardio, and that's one of his weapons is the cardio. What happens against Neil Magny? He gets fucking gas in the 3rd round. Ends up getting put against the cage. Weird takedown. He gets put in the Darcy choke attempt or guillotine. He fights out of it. He knows it's there. What happens? He puts himself right back in it. It's literally like fucking Feely and Miquizio Costa all over again. He put himself right back in the same fucking position and ends up getting tapped out because as soon as Neil Magny has his arms locked, he is not letting go of that shit. He has 80 inches of reach. He has an absolute snake arm, and he's going to put you out. And he did that. Put Jake Matthews out after being he's a minus 5,000 live in the 3rd round. Neil Magny was paying $220 every $10 you put on him. And he submits Jake Matthews. I was literally putting $20 on my account to bet him. As I was betting him, it got locked up. And I was like, why is it locked? I look at my screen, and Neil's fucking got his arm on the bicep, and he's sunken in, and he's fucking sitting on it. I'm like, all right, and we're done. There we go, boys. We're going to move on next on the main card. Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Taveras. And we had Jack Jenkins pretty easy. Ramon Taveras is one of those guys that's a little bit too confident in himself. He doesn't have, in my opinion, the ability to fight anyone with half a brain inside of the UFC. In my opinion, lost both fights to Series City. It was too obvious, and I think he fought, Davey Grant, and now he's fought Jack Jenkins. He did end up getting a good win against Cortavius Romeus to get into the UFC, but in my opinion, he's on a 3-fight slide. Doesn't have anything really solid looking out for him. His boxing is the only thing that's impressive about him, and he can't even utilize it in his fights. He doesn't have any threat of a takedown. He doesn't have any leg kicks, really. He only has slick boxing, and realistically, when you get into the UFC, you can't just use boxing. There's no room for that anymore. You have to have something. You have to have a mix-up capability. You have to have something out there that guys have to be worried about. What does Jack Jenkins has? He at least has takedowns. He has some leg kicks. He has some spinning moves. Ramon doesn't have any of that. Ramon just has forward pressure and some crazy boxing. And you're not Ilia Tuporia. And Ilia Tuporia's got some good leg kicks too. You can't be like that. Yeah, you have to improve. And unless Ramon Taveras improves on his threat and his movement and his just takedown defense, there's nothing here for him at this point. I don't even hate the kid. It's just I like him too. Like him and his wife seem like cool people. It's just like, I don't know, man. You gotta figure it out, because at this point it's not working, and you can see it's not working, and they're not gonna re-sign you at this point if it keeps going like this. you're not fighting anyone good in combat night either. Like, it's not like you're fighting crazy people and they're bringing you to the UFC. You're fighting these fucking bums. You're just getting given free fights. Next on the co-main event, Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Ersland. And it was pretty obvious what was going to go down here. Ivan Ersland's an okay fighter. He's quite durable, but he doesn't have the survivability to survive a guy like Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute's so aggressive in the submission threat. And when you're fighting a guy like Ivan Ersland, who has no experience whatsoever in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this guy doesn't really give a fuck about Jiu-Jitsu. He probably doesn't even train it whatsoever. He probably does some little bullshit takedown drills, some bullshit, you're in half guard and you're fucking trying to escape or whatever. He's not doing Jimmy Crute drills. Like, Jimmy Crute is literally looking to just maul the fuck out of you. And that's what he did to Ivan Ersland. He survived for maybe 2 minutes, and then Jimmy Crute eventually got him, take him down, sunk in that rear naked choke, and there's not a whole lot you can fucking do about that. When Jimmy Crute takes your back, you say, okay, I lose. You're not doing anything, especially in the first round when you guys are dry. Jimmy is going to rip your fucking head off. And that's exactly what he did. Jimmy Crute's really, really, really good in the grappling. Kimura over Paul Craig. You get Kimuras over guys who are shit. You get Kimuras over guys who you are way better than in the ground. And Jimmy Crute got that over Paul Craig. He's high level in the ground, and he gets Ivan Ersland in the first round. A fantastic victory. It was pretty obvious what was going down, but I'm very happy it went down the exact way we thought it was going down. Now we're going to look at the main event of the evening. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. If you have not already, I'll have my predictions and breakdowns down tomorrow, Thursday, the 2nd of October. There we go. The main event featuring Carlos Ulberg and Dominic Reyes ended in the first round. Was not exactly what I was expecting. 100% honestly. I thought it was going to go maybe into the second round. I knew under 1.5 rounds was looking quite solid. It was plus money sitting there too. I really felt like Dominic Reyes was going to put on a little bit better of a performance. I thought he was going to be able to move forward, maybe tag Carlos Ulberg a couple of times. Kennedy and Jetsku found extreme success when targeting Carlos Ulberg early, especially when they were at altitude. He just tried to, weather the storm. He got into a really, really bad firefight with Carlos Ulberg early, survived the storm, and ended up tagging Ulberg a lot. Ended up forcing him back, ended up forcing a lot of pressure against him. And it was a lot of success. He got Ulberg tired, ended up slipping into a shot, putting Carlos Ulberg down and out. And you had Dominic Reyes not really do a whole lot of that. He was kind of on the back foot the whole time, a little bit too stressed out about the pressure and power of Carlos Ulberg, and just ended up slipping into a fucking shot and getting put out cold. And then he ended up eating another one like he did against Jan Blachowicz, where he sat back up and was like, what happened? And just fucking tanked another uppercut to the head. Carlos Ulberg looked really impressive. Not a whole lot to talk about. There was just a lot of stand-up and staring at each other and fucking waiting for the perfect shot. And Carlos Ulberg took his shot, took it right, and took it right to the face of Dominic Reyes. There's not a whole lot he could have done. A lot of people had money on Reyes. A lot of the world wanted Reyes to win and see that comeback story after the loss to John Jones, but it was not here tonight. It is a young man's sport, and you have Carlos Ulberg, who's just, even though he's a year younger, man, he hasn't taken the punishment that Dominic Reyes has taken, not even nearly the amount, and not even nearly the competition level of eating those to the body and the leg kicks and everything. He's taken absolutely none. He's still got that chin from Christ. And Dominic Reyes just got put out and put cold. That's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. I did stutter halfway through this. It's late at night. What do you want me to tell you? All right. I'm tired. It is what it is. But I love you guys. Have a great day. Peace.